There is no denying that artificial intelligence is at the core of the fourth industrial revolution. People are now focusing on what economic growth AI can drive and how much trust we can place in it. To shed light on these issues, we've invited an expert who can provide us with clear insights. Joining us is Professor Kim Ji-hae from the KAIST School of Business and Technology Management, who specializes in researching AI's growth and its impact on inequality. Welcome, Professor Kim.
Thank you for having me today.
So AI has been deeply, ingrained in our society, right? So there may be some successful examples where we can see AI has replaced human roles. What do you think?
Before I answer your question, I'd like to rephrase your question a little bit. So instead of saying AI is completely replacing humans, I want to be a little bit more specific. You can think of it as some specific tasks that are used to be done by humans are now done by AI successfully. So this distinction between distinction of tasks are really important to understand how AI will really impact the labor market. So some of the tasks, especially like the specific kinds of coding, like programming, or some customer service that's done by chatbot, they are successfully replacing human tasks. But then if you think of it as a job scale, and if you think of a job as a collection of all different tasks that humans can do in one occupation, it's not really easy for AI to completely replace all these different tasks. Let's take an example of programmers. So this job entails many diverse tasks, not just the coding. The coding is definitely a main task, but they have to work with other workers in the company to kind of sort out, figure out what to be programmed and what kind of project they have to work on. And once their goal is set, they have to decide priority, which to be done first. And once they are done with coding, the ChatGPT or Google Gemini can help the programmers do a little bit. But then you may have to meet customers as well. For some maintenance, they have questions, you'll have to interact with them. So although they may get some help with the coding itself, there are some tasks left for them to do, right? But the thing is, they can now work more efficiently and more productively, which means we may need less of them, fewer of them. That means those programmers who can really use AI in their advantage, like complementing their other tasks, will survive. So people say that it's not AI replacing humans, but humans with AI replacing humans. Okay. So the experts say those routine, like repetitive cognitive tasks are the most suitable for AI. So if your job is a collection of a small set of such tasks, you're at the high risk of losing your job. But the researchers who really investigate this issue, analyzing all these different tasks over almost every occupation, every job in the world, their conclusion is this: everyone will be affected. Every job, like whether you're high skilled, low skilled, whether you're high paid, low paid, everyone will get affected. But also, there's no job, all of the tasks that were completely replaced by AI. But some may be fired, so there's some risk on that. But overall, it's less likely that all the jobs will be replaced by AI. So I know there's this public fear against AI, and one of the main reasons behind it is their concerns about their job security. But the positive message that I want to deliver is you'll be safe as long as you kind of figure out how you can kind of like manage or use your AIs to complement your productivity. So you'll be safe, so don't worry too much. That's my main message that I want to deliver.
Okay, I'm using ChatGPT for my research and translating. But there are global companies investing huge amount of money in generative AI. So my question is, how are they leveraging AI to transform their businesses?
Oh, so the investment at that large scale, it's like really like big capital investment. But like I heard that OpenAI and Microsoft, they are gonna invest $100 billion to build a data center just to train their model. And they're gonna consume electricity as much as millions of homes. So they are planning for it. So that level of investment, they are done by those AI companies because they want to build their own model, they want to manage their own data. They want to do better than their competitors. So like Google is spending that much money. And so the AI companies like OpenAI or the the companies that want to transform into AI companies like Google, Meta, Facebook, Amazon, they are investing that much. But other traditional companies, not just AI companies, I think they are still figuring out how to use like generative AI for their diverse range of business operations, like from hiring, HR, evaluating their employees, like communication within a company, like marketing, sales, all these different business operations. I mean, each of them kind of to use AI into each of these operations, AI needs to be like customized in their needs, and it's taking much time. And there was a survey came out last July. So the survey was distributed over 2,500 workers in English-speaking countries, including some of them in the management position, like decision-making management position. So the managers, they answered, they have really high expectation over generative AI. They think it'll boost their workers' productivity, and they want to invest in, they want to train people. But what's surprising is the workers' answers. What workers told their survey company was that more than 80%, almost 80% of the workers, they say because of the generative AI, it's taking much more time to do their work. Maybe the quality has improved, but the time itself it's delaying, and they have this burden. They feel it as a burden, and like half of them, they don't really know how to figure things out to really use AI in their productivity boost. So I think changes are on the way, but it's not really visually showing yet, and people are just trying to figure out in like non-AI companies. Okay, I think that's the status right now.
Okay, that's very interesting. In the past, we had a major innovations like computers, airplanes, and cars, right? So compared to that achievement in the past, how do you see the invention of generative AI in our history? Do you think it's something like a technical breakthrough on par with such a milestone that we had in the past?
Okay, to answer the question, I have to bring up this concept of GPT. So it's not the same GPT as in ChatGPT. That's like generative pre-trained transformer, which is really hard concept. But the GPT concept that I'm going to bring in is general purpose technology. So the electricity, like automobiles and internet that you just mentioned are considered widely as general purpose technology. As the name says, it has general purpose, means because they are so general, once it's regarded as general purpose technology, it means that it's the driving force of all the economic growth. All of these different technological inventions, they are really important, but these GPTs are really groundbreaking. It's changing every corner of our economy. Then the question is AI GPT? So to be considered as GPT, the technology has to meet 3 different conditions. The first is pervasiveness, meaning this technology should be able to impact every corner of the economy. Every corner, everyone should be affected by it. Electricity, everyone is using it. And the second condition is it should be improving over time. Like internet, it's getting faster and more efficient. So it should be improving over time. The last one is it should encourage other complementary inventions like internet. We have many internet services out of internet. Electricity, because thanks to electricity, we have all the electronic appliances, electric cars. So they check all the marks. But once you think about AI and generative AI, you can easily see that they check all the marks. They are pervasive, because like especially for generative AI, they create contents. They generate contents. Almost every job, you kind of need to generate something. So it's like that pervasive. And as you can see, it's improving over time from GPT 3.0, 3.5 to like now 4.0 and more. So it's improving over time. And the last one is, can it really lead to more complementary inventions? And I think the answer is yes. People are trying to figure out those AI services on top of AI infrastructure, AI models. That's what those companies are trying to figure out, how to use this for their business operations. So I think it fits all the marks. But then is AI different GPT than previous general purpose technology? My answer is no, because just imagine the life before and after electricity, or even life before and after washing machines. I mean, I cannot really imagine life without washing machine. My productivity will just plummeted. But is AI that different? The before AI and after AI? I don't think it's much different than that. So I think like summarizing, AI is comparable to those breakthrough inventions, but not much different.
Okay.
Not much different.
Yeah, that makes sense. But many people may be very much interested in AI's impact in our economy. And obviously, investment banks think AI can bring about some economic wealth, whereas some economists think, well, it's not the case. So what's your perspective?
Many economists, including me, agree on the fact that AI will definitely impact economic growth. It'll bring us economic growth, but we differ from those investment bankers by how much, the size of the impact, or the speed of the impact, or like when we'll eventually see the impact in macroeconomic numbers. And another thing is, it's really hard for economists to agree on something, but this issue is we agree on. So what we expect is, so AI will definitely contribute to the economic growth, but in the extent that it contributes some part to 2% annual economic growth. So 2% is a very important magic number, because US economy has grown over the more than 100 years on the average annual growth rate of 2%, which means all this general purpose technology, all these groundbreaking technology inventions from electricity, automobile, internet, and PC and everything just gave us 2% economic growth. But 2% may sound a little bit small, but once you think about it, it's like quite big. It's like interest rate in your savings account. If your interest rate is 2% in your savings account, your money in the bank will double every 35 years. That means if our economy grows at the 2% rate, then our economy will double every 35 years. That's a remarkable change. But the thing is that all these general purpose technology, groundbreaking inventions, they brought us 2% growth. And AI will do the same thing. But that means AI will not give us like 10% economic growth right now. I don't think that'll happen. It'll give us sustainable economic growth as before. Without AI, we may not be able to do it, but it's still contributing. But not as much as people kind of like is excited about, like that much. Another thing is like the actual timing that we are going to see the real macroeconomic impact will be much later. I don't think it'll be like 10 years later. I think it'll take like 20 or 30 years later that we'll actually see the impact of economic growth. Why? Because it's GPT. Because all these GPT technology inventions, it like on average they took 30 years to really show impact in our economy. Like think about electricity. Electricity was invented. Then people have to kind of like build all the infrastructure, so deliver electricity to our homes. And factories should be reorganized to use electricity in a very efficient way. It takes time. So human society and human organizations and physical space has to change to adapt to this technology. And I think AI will be the same as well.
Okay, then let's take this issue to the level of geopolitics.
Okay,
Currently, the U.S. and China are, investing huge amount of money in AI technology. Especially China is leading government-funded investment. So does that mean that the benefits of AI development will be concentrated on, just a small number of leading countries while leaving others far behind?
Yeah, as you said, in AI technology, U.S. has a strong dominance, and China is right behind it. And after that, like South Korea is somewhere between 5th to 10th, depending on the index. So surely those U.S. and China, because of they have foundational model, the very foundations of all the AI technology, I'm pretty sure they will get the most benefit. They'll get the biggest pie for sure. But let's start from these developing nations. For the developing nations, although they may not have the AI backbone technology, because AI is GPT, you can use it to do many things. You can build services on top of it, and you can improve your productivity on that. So although you do not have the model, all these different services, you can improve your productivity in every corner of the economy. So if developing nations figure out how to use it for their, not the core technology, but the applications of it, I think they can benefit. And also, because the good thing about AI is it lowers the skill required for a certain task. You don't really have to know much. Because thanks to generative AI, they will tell you the important details. You just follow them a little bit. So because so there is this, they narrow down the skill gap, which could be opportunity for the developing nations. The problem is South Korea. So South Korea, we are not developing nation, so we are one of the leading countries. But not in the top leading group as U.S. and China.
Somewhere in the
middle. Yeah, somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle. But we have some high technology. But like same as developing nations, if we figure out how this AI model to kind of boost up our productivity in every corner of the economy, we'll definitely benefit. But then we want more. Because we want more. We are in one of the closer to the technological frontier. The South Korea, I think, it has a great potential because it's the very unique country that has all the elements that's essential for AI ecosystem. Meaning we have semiconductor,
Yes.
we have cloud and computer services, we have, we do have AI models. Some companies have AI models, like Naver and LG, they have AI models. And we also have some application, many startup companies trying to figure things out. So we have all these different elements that's required for AI ecosystem. This is a very rare condition to have. Not many countries have these settings.
Sure.
So we have all this potential, but all these elements, we are not the strongest. I think that's the problem. So I think we have to, like, in terms of resource allocation and the policy support, or the research effort should be kind of like put in the right direction to really utilize or realize our potential to be maybe not the first and second, but maybe the third place, maybe possible after China. So I'm hopeful.
All right, great to hear that. So, but still, there can be some, skepticism about using AI, by the way, because there are some who are arguing that they had to recheck all the information generated by AI, and sometimes AI gives us, some nonsensical answers, right? So, how do you think about the credibility issue?
Oh yeah, they're not credible at all. So if you're checking the answers coming from generative AI, you're using it in the right way. So you shouldn't be really trusting the answers coming from generative AI at all. You should always doubt. To understand this, you have to understand how this generative AI technically work. So once you ask a question or instructions to generative AI, what they do is they just spit out a sequence of words that are statistically highly likely to come in or to follow, given in the context given by you to AI. They just spit out the answers based on the data they are trained on. So they are statistical. They are probabilistic, which means in the first place, they are not designed to be used for factual checking, factual answers. So they are designed to generate contents, not to check the factualities.
Okay.
So if you're using it for factual answers, then you are using it wrong. You're using it incorrectly. So you will really have to use it for generate something, as the name suggests. But I know that there are some technical efforts by computer scientists or engineers and companies. They're trying to find technical solutions to have more factuality in the model. But the problem is, I value their effort. The problem is, they are adding those reliability and factual devices on the top of the fundamental model that is inherently statistically working. So they are adding those devices on the surrounding this foundation model, which still has problems in it. So it cannot be perfect. That leads to the responsibility of the end user. So I think as an end user, we have to have increase or improve AI literacy, how to use it better, what not to do, what to do. So AI literacy will be really important.
But that will take time.
Yeah,
right?
it'll take time. Yeah, it'll take time.
Yeah, another issue is actually ethical issue, because when Google AI was asked about the solutions for aging society, then the answer was like, humans are a burden to our society, so should disappear. Right, that's does not make any sense, right? No. So many people are doubting about the independent judgment of AI technology. Is there any way to design AI in a more sensical and ethical to a certain degree?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, and it requires like a multi-dimensional collaborative effort from all different stakeholders in the society. I want to start with the legal side first. So AI regulation and law. The European Union recently, they have the AI Act, which is really strong regulation. They were in effect from last August. And the US, they have the President Biden's executive order last year to kind of ensure the safe and trustworthy AI. In South Korea, like just 2 weeks ago, they passed the very first AI law, not the main National Assembly, but by the committee in the National Assembly that's in charge of science and ICT and communications. They passed the first ever AI law that has some regulation in it. Although it's very weak, it's a very weak level, but I think it's a good first step. So this legal side working is very important because they affect companies' incentives. So moving to corporate effort, the company's effort, those Google, like OpenAI, like Meta, for them, this AI ethics risk, it's a big risk for them as well. So they have to manage it, not just for their reputation, but financially, because of the legal side, it could be financially very large if they mess up things. So what they do internally is many big companies like Google and Facebook, they have risk management team to kind of like take care of those issues of their AI model. Including what's called red team. It's something the military people do. So the internal attacking team. So they kind of like simulate attacks, any potential attacks to AI models or any potential scenarios that you just mentioned. So like they're trying their AI model for these different scenarios, different questions. They can kind of like deal with the potential issues like this you mentioned. So that's the corporate effort. And for the tech, there's also technical effort that like scientists and engineers and some companies are doing is they are working to kind of like engrave those ethical values inside of the model. So they are working on it. I want to be hopeful, but in the future we may be able to see it. But I think that this technical solution is not perfect. It can be better, but it's not perfect. So that comes down to, again, AI literacy by end users. So all these different efforts from different stakeholders should come together to make AI more sensible, reliable, and ethical.
All the examples that you gave us must have been done by individual actors in play. But how about setting a global standards and regulations that we can all follow? How do you think about the possibility of setting a global norms and guidelines?
That's, I think, the most difficult question, because I'm very positive and optimistic on how AI will change our world. I'm really, really positive. But then what you described is the most concerning and the most challenging thing. It's really hard to imagine all these different countries with different interests and different incentives will figure out and agree on, especially on the speed of technological developments. So US is very pro-business, and EU is the opposite. They're very conservative. And at the same time, China and UAE, all their majority of their inventions are government-led. So they are playing the same game, but different rules. So it's really messy, and it's also, people call it the AI war, because it could be really related to a national security issue. So once it becomes a national security issue, no countries want to compromise. And no organizations can force them to some sort of rules. So I'm really worried. I don't see any solution, reliable solution. I hope that we can really figure things out. I want to remain hopeful though.
Yeah, like you said, there are lots of challenges and of course opportunities ahead of us.
Right.
I think that's all for today's discussion. Thank you for being with us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.